During the Anglo-Saxon period, the Saxons built their houses with wood. After they had accepted Christianity, some of the churches were built with stone. The Vikings had a long tradition in building with wood, but in making wood buildings, they began to realize that they catch fire and decay much more easily than stone buildings. There were a few different types of buildings used during this time period, one being sunken houses, which were used as workshops. But it was not an ideal place back then because the roof is directly over the fire pit and the ground rots too easily. Another house used in the Anglo-Saxon time period is the framed building. They were reliable houses with a large number of posts set into the ground to help support the roof. Saxons preferred these buildings over sunken buildings because they were more sturdy. Longhouse is known as bow-sided building. Instead of straight-sided walls, the walls curve, so the building is wider at the middle than at each end. These have always been framed buildings, usually with buttresses.
Stone buildings. It is used to be assumed that the only buildings the Anglo-Saxons made of stone were churches. Recent archaeological finds have shown that some of the noblemen's halls were also being built of stone in the late Anglo-Saxon period. It even seems likely that some of these buildings may have had glass windows. Stone halls were also known from literature. Furniture was very sparse. In a home, you'd usually find chests for important belongings. Usually were iron-bound and lockable. You'd find shelves and a loom for weaving. Vikings used benches and chairs and lined the halls with them for seating. In homes, you'd usually find either hay or clay-tiled floors. You'd most likely find animal hide in their homes as well. For lighting in this time period, Anglo-Saxons and Vikings also used candles. With their warrior trophies, you'd either find them on the shelf for display or in their chests locked up, depending on how valuable they were.
Tents were used as home from home, used by Vikings and Saxons, and were considerably in size. What they were used for varies. If you were a Viking, it was used for market stall, when ship's crew were engaged in trade, or Saxons used them mainly for armies and the marched or mobile churches. They didn't have much in this time period, but they made use of what they had.